So, welcome to the next official Property Entrepreneur podcast. Streaming this one live to the official Property Entrepreneur Facebook community. There's over 8,000 of us in here now. So, streaming this for you live now. And for those of you listening to this on the official Property Entrepreneur podcast recording, congratulations for subscribing and welcome to 2022. So, we're just about to kick off the new year. And whether you're listening to this live and it's literally a day before New Year's Eve, or you're listening to it on the official Property Entrepreneur podcast, what I want to do is set the right tone for you going into 2022. And whether it's business deals or property deals, I want to basically reset your mindset, give you a clear focus, and just make business transactions, relationships, negotiations a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable for the year ahead. So this is what I'm going to take you through over the next sort of 25 minutes or so. This podcast is called Everyone's a Winner. And what we're looking to do is in everything we do, business, deals, relationships, we're trying to look for that win-win-win position where everybody's a winner. And this is what I want you to go into with this, because business, investment, relationships, wealth creation, prosperity, these aren't things that are built on transactions. And what we want to do is look at building our businesses and our reputation and the venture that we're going into on relationships rather than transactions. And what we're looking at here is starting to think about playing the long game rather than the short game. And the encouraging thing here is when you get this right, you will find everything a lot more straightforward. Your deals will be far more lucrative. Your day-to-day just operation as an entrepreneur or an investor will be much more straightforward, and everything will work really, really well. And equally, I believe this is very easy to achieve. The reality, however, is most people do not do this. Most people don't know how to do this. They don't have the self-awareness. They don't have the strategy. They don't have the mindset. But when you can adopt it, it's highly lucrative, makes things easy. When you don't, everything's a struggle. Everything seems prickly. And because you're dealing with money, investment, deals, people, they can become far more challenging than they need to. So in this podcast, I'm going to take you through Everyone's a Winner blueprint. And this blueprint will allow you to understand how to get a win-win-win out of every deal. So what to do, when to do it, and how to actually go about putting this into practice. To give you an idea, so I sat down and looked at this yesterday when I was preparing for the podcast. And during COVID, I brokered 24 different deals. So that's either company sales, company purchases, or property acquisitions or sales. So I brokered 24 deals that were either purchases or sales with a total transaction value of 10.17 million. And what I did was I used this blueprint to do that. And I find this really straightforward to do. This is my natural tendency. It's my natural ability. I find this just part of my instincts to act this way within transactions. The reality is, however, one of the reasons that I can broker deals for other people, so whether that's buying companies, buying properties, brokering any sort of entry or exit acquisitions or disposals, the reason I can broker these deals is I have a skill set to be able to sit in the middle and be basically the broker, the translator, the negotiator, and pull two people together that wouldn't otherwise be able to do this. Going into the year ahead, I want you to be able to do this without having to work with somebody like me, because if you can have this skill set, not only does it make your life a lot easier, but also you have a very lucrative skill you can then go and serve other people with, whether they want to sell their properties, they want to acquire stock, or they want to buy or sell businesses through you. It's a very powerful skill set to have. A friend of mine sent me a quote a couple of months ago, and from 𝗟𝗶𝘀𝘁𝗲 book, which is a fantastic book. And what it says in there is 𝗟𝗶𝘀𝘁𝗲's talking about the power of being a deal maker. And you would have heard me previously talk about the difference between price, expertise, and value. And what we're looking at here is when you can move into that equity layer at the top with value, you can become a very lucrative person by brokering deals, whether it's for yourself or for others. 𝗟𝗶𝘀𝘁𝗁 talks about it in his book, and he says, if you are a trusted, reliable, high integrity, long-term thinking deal maker, when other people want to do deals but don't know how to do them in a trustworthy manner with strangers, they will literally approach you and give you a cut of the deal just because of the integrity and reputation that you've built up. Now, I've lived this in practice. I've been doing deals my whole life. And over the last probably 5 or 6 years, I've started doing those for other people, developments, properties, helping people to sell their companies, helping people to buy other businesses. I've been doing it for other people for the last sort of 5 years or so, since 2015. It's 6 years, 7 years in 2022. What we want to do is put you in the middle, understand how to be this translator, this negotiator, and have this skill set to be able to do better deals and make them easier, make them more lucrative, because the mindset needs to be everybody is a winner. So when we think about everyone's a winner, there's 3 elements here. So the first is everyone's a winner as a mindset. Now, when I talk about everyone's a winner as a mindset, what I mean here is when you're going into a deal, most people will think, what can I get out of this? How much money can I make out of it? Maybe they don't consciously think it, but subconsciously they're thinking, how can I do better than the other person, get the most for me? And they have that selfish, one-sided sense of entitlement focus. And that's how most people do deals. We want you to look above that and think, as far as the mindset goes, when you're going into a deal, what is the mindset? The mindset is everyone's a winner. And what we're doing here is looking at people's objectives. So the mindset going into a deal is basically, deals don't have to be cloak and dagger. The negotiations don't have to be hoodwinks and arms twisting. It's like doing a deal is a basic logic of understanding 2 people's objectives. So you have an objective and I have an objective, or the person who I'm selling a company for has an objective, and the person who wants to buy the company has an objective. The aim of the game from a mindset point of view doing deals is everybody has an objective. What is the win-win situation in the middle? That's it. I need to understand your objective. I need to understand your objective. I'll pull those together, and can I genuinely find a win-win in the middle? If you can, fantastic. It's easy. Everyone's happy. It's a win-win-win. Everybody's a winner. If you can't, don't try and flog a dead horse. Don't try and sell people trash. If you can't find a win-win-win, it's a very short-term way to go about your business, and you're better off to pass on those opportunities than progress them. The second is sort of a mantra. So if you think about the mantra of win-win-win and the mantra of everybody's a winner, when you're looking for the mantra, when you get into deals, they get very taut, they can get very strained at times, they can get very high pressured, they can get stressful, they can get quite emotional. And a lot of this is caused by human tendency. And being a good negotiator and being somebody who can broker deals is having the ability to not lose your cool, to be able to sit there with a completely level head. And the mantra I would encourage you to have is let logic prevail. So if you know that the mindset and the objective is win-win-win, then the mantra as you're going through the deal is all I'm looking to do is let logic prevail. I'm looking at what it is. What is a win? What is a win-win? What is a win-win-win? And how does logic prevail over that? And that allows you to carve out the stress, the pressure, the anxiety, the emotions, and broker the deal more effectively with that mantra. It's just allowing logic to prevail. And in the same way that a maths equation or a algorithm is very binary, it's very ones and zeros, it's very statistical, it's exactly the same with brokering a deal. Yes, there's emotion. Yes, you can play the game, you can do lots of things, but ultimately the foundation of, is this deal going to stand up for the long term, or is this deal going to get across the line, and then is it going to stand up through the long term, whether it's a property deal or a business deal or a business model, is all about allowing logic to prevail and looking at the stats and the deal and weighing everything up, win-win. So the mantra there is let logic prevail. When you're in the deal and you're thinking, right, this is getting prickly, something's happening, all you've got to do is let logic prevail and look at how the deal's playing out and just adjust it accordingly as and when's required. And then third is thinking of it as a methodology. So the win-win-win, like all the things that we'll share on these podcasts are blueprints, they're models, they're methodologies, they're ways to do things. Like this is literally the library of my life, what I've used to do deals, to build wealth, to create health, and build out an ongoing personal quest for life by design on an annual basis. When we're thinking about it as a methodology, there's really 2 sort of places I'd encourage you to really look for this. So the first is when you're doing deals, and when you're applying this as a methodology to do deals, this could be it could be a property deal, or it could be a business deal. You could be buying a development, you could be buying a piece of land, you could be in a JV with some sort of land assembly or options, or you could be buying or selling companies. You can M&A at the market is absolutely off the rails at the minute. We bought and sold more companies in 2021 than we ever have in history. And globally, the M&A market has now exceeded 3.2 trillion, which is like the biggest on record. Even if you look at the UK markets, things like all the, what happens in a recession is people stop investing in their own businesses and they don't necessarily have either the appetite or the opportunity to grow. So they go and move capital into acquisitions. So public to private, we've seen a lot of that with like some of the supermarkets. There's been lots of venture capitalist movement. The market is just really, really hot. So whether it's property deals you're doing or it's business deals, this is the blueprint that you want to use for deals. The other thing is when you think about it as a methodology is when else do you use it? The other time you use it is when you're building a business model. So in all of the companies that I invest in, all the companies that I start through our incubator program, and all of the businesses that I mentor or sit as a non-exec board member, all I'm really interested in is the business model. And we'll spend, especially this time of year when we're looking at strategy, we'll spend 3 months of the year just building out the model. And then every board meeting we'll be referring back to the model. How's the pricing changed? How's the margin looking? What's the average cost per unit? What's the commercial balance? What's the next levels of management through the growth? Is the business model. And when you apply this methodology to the business model, and which is basically I'll do a podcast on the model at some point. When you're doing using a win-win-win as the business model, it's looking at every single part of the business. And if you can find a business model where everybody's a winner and every single part of it is win-win-win-win-win, not only are you going to have a business that's going to be built to last, it's going to play the long game, it's going to be there for a long time. It's also going to be incredibly easy to run, because if everybody in the business is benefiting from it, then it's an absolute no-brainer. And even when it's challenging, everybody will be on the same team. And I'll share how you actually do that in practice towards the end of the podcast. So win-win-win, everybody's a winner. This is the skill set, the ability of the minority, but it's the requirement and the desire of the masses. If everybody needs to have this skill set, but there's very, very few of it. And I'm going to try and do my best to communicate to you what you need to do in order to win this. So the first is, what does it mean? So if we say everybody wins, does that actually mean in practice? Well, what it means is whether it's a deal or a business model, everybody that's involved wins. Every single party, every single client, every single team member, every single investor, every single agent, every single referrer, anybody who's involved needs to win. And this is the sweet spot. And this could be 2 people buying and selling a property, or 2 people buying and selling a business. You've got to look at their objectives. What is the seller trying to achieve? What is the owner of this development site trying to achieve? What is this land partner trying to achieve? What are their objectives? And then you look at the other party, whether it's you buying the business or it's you buying the development property. What is your objective? And then you look at the two together and you just work up from first principles, let logic prevail, working up with no law of analogy, no law of basically no anchoring yourself to what you think. Oh, right, well, it needs to be 10% below the market price. So that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about 2 people's objectives and then first principles, working up from the bottom. How do we find a win-win-win-win-win that means everybody's a winner? That's what we're looking for. And then if you can find that, that's the sweet spot. That's what we're looking for. And the reality is not many people know how to do that. That's my responsibility as a broker. When I'm doing M&A deals, I'm looking at what's the seller actually trying to achieve? Is it speed? In which case, it can be their speed and their deadline, but it's going to be somebody else's price. Or is it price? In which case, right, their objective is they want a really high price. Well, in order to get that, whoever's going to buy it's going to have some more favorable terms. It's just this constant seesaw of balancing objectives and aspirations and requirements to find that sweet spot where it all balances lovely in the middle and everybody is a winner. That's it. And it's just sliding that scale to try and find that. So what does it mean? It means everybody wins, and it means nothing else is on the table. You don't need to worry about anything else. It's literally, what are everybody's objectives and how do we find a sweet spot where everyone's a winner? When do we do this? Well, the first time is when we're doing deals. So when we're doing deals, we're buying businesses, we're buying property. We want to use this as a blueprint and allow logic to rule over emotion. Now, whether you're buying or you're selling, the majority of people will allow their head to be ruled by their heart. And what happens here is you get emotional on what you want from the deal, or you get emotional that you want, even worse, you get emotional that you want the deal regardless of the price and regardless of the terms. You've seen a house, you've seen a property, and you don't care. Your ego wants it, your emotion wants it, your heart wants it, whatever it is. When we're doing deals, we really need logic to prevail over emotion. And this is how you find a genuine win-win-win. Just lock into that objective. What do they want? What does the other person want? Or what do they want? What do I want? How do we make that match in the middle? And then that's where you find the sweet spot. Most people will not do this because they don't understand the significance of why it's important. Now, what I'm not talking about here is giving the deal away. So if you've got a property to sell and you're dealing with a complete in 24 hours overnight buyer, but you don't have to. What I'm not saying is, in order for them to buy off you, they need to hit their 30% below market value. And in order for you to sell it, you need to accept it. That's not a win-win, because if you need to sell it by midday tomorrow, then that's your win. You're going to have to find somebody that's going to equally win from that deal. And normally, if you want something quick, you can have price and you can have speed, or you can have speed and you can have quality, and you have that speed, time, price, quality mechanism where you slide one of the things and everything else adjusts accordingly, because you can't always have your cake and eat it. What I am talking about here is understanding that if you actually want to get a deal across the line, there's a big difference between an offer and a sale. If you actually want to get a deal across the line, you've got to go into this, especially when you're doing company sales, you've got to go into this with the mindset and understanding that everybody's going to pull this business to bits. The solicitors are going to go through it. The investors are going to go through it. The accountants are going to go through it. All of your legislation, your insurance, your policies, your processes, they're all going to get pulled to pieces. And if you're going to invest the time in getting a deal done, you've got to know that you're going into this with the genuine opportunity of getting it over the line. And that will only happen if it's a win-win-win for everybody that's involved. So look at those objectives, your objectives, the buyer's objectives, figure out the sweet spot in the middle, and then just let logic prevail. Just let logic prevail in structuring the deal, in progressing the deal, in adjusting the deal, in negotiating the deal. And the other thing here is, with regards to when do we apply this win-win-win mentality, is don't be afraid of negotiation. So I actually spoke to somebody the other day and we had this conversation. We were negotiating over something. I said, honestly, just relax. You don't need to feel intimidated negotiating with me. You don't need to. That was what I said, but my sentiment was, one, does not need to be intimidated by negotiation. Negotiation should not be an intimidating thing. In fact, I love negotiating. I do deals. I've always got a deal on doing something: a business, a property, an investment, something, whatever. Negotiation doesn't have to be cloak and dagger. I would say, if you're scared of sales and you're scared of negotiations, that's one thing you really want to work on, and tune into the fact that your objective here is not to overthrow the other person, and it's not to screw the other person. If you want to be in business, I've been in business all my life. I suspect I'll probably be in business for the rest of my life, however long that might be. And I pride myself on my ability to execute, my ability to do deals, my reputation, my conversion rate. A lot of this is hedged on the fact that you're always playing the long game. You're in it for everybody. You want everybody to be a winner within this. And the outcome of that is normally fantastic deals, fantastic results, fantastic reputation, and ongoing relationships over transactions. So when you're thinking about when to apply this, start to think about negotiations in a great way. So I'm going to sit down and have a negotiation with this person. And my only objective is to sit down and find a sweet spot that works for them and it works for me. And if you can just go into that, you can have an open conversation. You can be transparent. You can share details that perhaps you don't want to, you wouldn't normally think about sharing. The only thing you're looking for is a win-win-win. And then secondly is when to use it. We talked about it earlier in business models. So you want to look for that win-win-win. When you're starting a new business, looking at it and thinking, is everybody in this actually a winner? So for example, like Tesla, everybody in Tesla is a winner. The investors are making consistent gains. They're up 60% over the last 8 months in Tesla. Investors are doing well. The the customer's doing well, because Tesla have set out to build the best, not only the best car on the planet, the best product ever. Like, all they're thinking about is, I want this to be the best product, the most fun, the coolest thing you could ever own. The customer's doing well because they're getting a great car. It's more efficient, it's cheaper, it's more reliable, it's got a crazy depreciation guarantee on it. The service warranty on the batteries is something crazy like 250 or 300,000 miles. The customer's doing absolutely amazing. Tesla are doing well because their stock value is going up, because the investors are happy, the customers and the clients are happy, and Elon Musk's obviously just cashed in his share option, so he's done incredibly well out of it. And then the world, the planet, because it's energy efficient, it's driving the world towards self-sustaining energy and transport initially. So the planet's doing well, and the government are doing well. So, the government are helping them to hit their minimum CO2 net 2050 targets, whatever they are in whatever country. It's a huge part of that, being able to turn around the transport network. That's an example of a genuine win-win-win-win-win deal. One of my incubator businesses, we had a board meeting last week, and what we were talking about was our objectives for next year. So on Property Entrepreneur, we have 3 supporting objectives and a headline strategy for every single company. Exactly the same in my businesses, exactly the same in all the incubators. And we were talking about one of our objectives being everyone's a winner. And what they were looking at was, they want everything in our business to be an asset. And that includes our team. Now, if our team are going to be an asset, everybody needs to get a return on that asset, including the team. So the team need to be winners. Our suppliers need to be winners. Our referrers need to be winners. Our customers need to be winners. And what we looked at is, if one of our objectives this year is everyone's a winner, what we do is we list out all the people that are involved, all the stakeholders that are involved internally and externally with the business, and figure out within the business model, how do we build a business model where everyone is a genuine winner? And what you'll find when you do this is, it's sort of like an insurance policy. Like, if you're going to spend the next 3, 5, 10 years building a business, you want to make sure the other side of it that it's making money. It's got sustainability. You're not stacking chairs on the deck of the Titanic. This thing's actually going to run. And the way you do that is make sure everyone's a winner, because even then, when you have the bad days and the shit quarter, or the marketing campaign that goes completely bananas, or the team member or the department or the office that goes AWOL, when everyone's a winner, everybody has a lot more patience. And it's an insurance policy that you're actually building a model that's going to last. It's going to be lucrative. It's going to be enjoyable. But also, it's an insurance policy that when the shit hits the fan, people are going to be a lot more patient, because they're in it for the long term. If Tesla's share price dips, people don't tend to bail out, because they understand this is a long game. It's buying into the vision. This is not just transport. It's the whole regeneration of moving from basically fossil fuels to renewable energy. So when everybody's a winner, people have a lot more patience. So they're the sort of times you want to use it, is when you're doing deals, when you're building them up from the bottom, companies, company sales, company purchases, property sales, property purchases, but then also in your business models. It's building a business model where everyone's a winner, and then the outcome's inevitable. Success and failure are very predictable. Next, why bother to do this? Well, what we want to do here is play the long game. And what you realize is it's all a long game. Though the majority of people make decisions based on what they can get today. How can I get an extra pound out of this? How can I screw this person? How can I win this hand? That's not how the long game plays. The good thing is that's how most people do business. So when you find somebody like myself or our investors or our companies, they're traditionally very easy to deal with, because we do business in a different way. We're here for the long game. We invest in relationships over transactions, and we want everybody to be a win-win. Everyone's a winner. And that goes for our clients, our teams, our investors, anybody who's involved in or around our businesses. We want everybody to be a winner. So the first thing is playing the long game. What you realize in business is this is all a long game. And every concession or consideration you can take along the way by basically maybe giving a little bit more than you have to, or not taking a little bit more that you could, what you'll find is that compounds up over time into a long-lasting relationship, a long-lasting business, a long-lasting reputation, a compounding level of revenue, profitability, brand, all of these things compound up. So the first is, why bother? Is we want to play the long game. This is all a long game, and everything is a long game. The next is, within that is probably, I was going to give you this as a top tip, I'll probably give you it now, is within the long game, what I would recommend is, well, in fact, no, I wouldn't even recommend it. I would just say, I do this. It's probably too aggressive, or it's probably not necessary. It's probably excessive, but it's my insurance policy that, in the same way that I talk about karma credits, is my insurance policy that, touch wood, when I get up in a sticky situation, I'm normally looked after by someone or something, and things just seem to work out okay. When I'm doing deals, I will tend to only take 80% of the deal. So I will leave 20% of the deal on the table. I'll make more concessions than the average person to get a deal done. And I won't screw people for the pennies. I'll make sure that there's enough in it for everyone, whether that's our contractors, or it's our professional services, or it's our investors, or it's our buyers, or it's our sellers. I'll only normally take 80% of what I could off the table, on the basis that I'm playing the long game, and I'm looking for that genuine win-win-win. And if you were to go around and ask people that have done deals with me, in the main, I don't think you'd be surprised, or I would not be surprised, if you find people that say, I couldn't believe the way that it played out. I can't believe that we actually got X, Y, Z. This happened and it was paid for immediately. So things like overspends on construction. If I know the deal's going really well and it goes over because of something that's unforeseen, even if it's in the contract, I could pin the main contractor. If I'm doing well, I'm happy to share that. I would not hold someone to the technicalities or the legalities of the JCT, something like that. It's a win-win-win. And equally, you've got to take a view on it when it works the other way. If you can only take 80% of the deal and leave 20% in, it will just do you the world of good in every instance, that transaction, but also the long-term relationship. Leaving money on the table, similar sort of sentiment, is leave money on the table for everyone else. What you're not trying to do is screw everybody out of every penny. That's not how business is done. Business is done on playing the long game. Business is done on relationships over transactions, and business is done on having the single focused mindset on win-win-win. Everyone's a winner, and play the long game. It's all a long game. Right, to finish up, so how do you actually do this in practice, to summarize? So the first thing is, what is the objective? Now, whether it's a company sale or a business sale or a company purchase or a business purchase, what we're trying to do is find out what is the objective of each party. That's it. So you're sitting with an investor. The investor might say, do you know what? I absolutely need to live off this money. I need to be making sure I'm getting a minimum of 10% return on this money. That's the most important thing to me. Not risk, not security. The most important thing to me is, I need 10% on this £1 million or this £100,000. I need that 10%. So, right, okay, cool. Well, I can give you 10%. That's what we're working towards. Your objective is 10%. In order for 10% to work for me, how does that look in practice? It's like, well, I'm not going to be giving you first charge over my development for 10%, or I can give you 10%, but it will be paid in arrears. It will be paid rolled up, and it will be paid back payments of quarterly. You understand their objective, and then you work to find everyone's a winner. How can you deliver that objective for them without compromising what you need to get out of it? Equally, it might be the other way around. What we're having a lot of the minute is there's loads of cash around. So a lot of people are coming to me with capital and saying, right, I need it out the bank. I need it generating income, and I need it secure. I don't want it in the bank. Then maybe they've got £500,000 or £1 million. Don't want it in the bank, losing money against inflation, but I definitely don't want to lose it. So they're not interested in the unsecured 10% loans. They're saying, right, well, what can you give me? I need it making money out of the bank, and I need it secure. It's like, right, well, that's fine. In the current market, because there's lots of people in your position, we can give you first charge security. So you lend me £1 million, I'll give you first charge security over £2 million worth of assets. So their gearing's really low, their security is really high, but then the return reflects that. So the return is, right, well, I can tick all your boxes, and the return I can give you for that is 5%. And thank you, that's amazing, you're a star, thank you very much for sorting these things out. If I went out to everybody, my rate is 7%. It would not work. It would work for some people, it wouldn't work for everyone. Some people you could pay 18%. Let's say it's high risk, it's an option fee. If it goes wrong, they lose it. It could be a completely high risk 12, 15, 18% deal, but it comes with, it's got to be everyone's a winner. You know, you take that amount of risk, you've then got to get that amount of reward. Equally, the other way around. If you want security over, if you want 200% security over your investment, you're not going to get 10% or 12% or 18%. You're going to get 5%. So when we think about everyone's a winner, how do we find this sweet spot where everyone wins? And it doesn't start off with my rate is 7%. It doesn't start off with the valuation for this company is 6 times EBITDA. It doesn't start off with the RICS valuation on this is 2 million quid. It's that or nothing. It starts off with, well, what is your objective as a seller? What is my objective as a buyer? Or if you're sitting in the middle as a broker, it could be either the other way around. And how do I find a genuine win-win-win where everybody works? And you just build it up from first principles, let logic prevail. And that's the only way to do deals, is literally sit there, have conversations, be flexible, be creative, be dynamic, and then have that clear objective of a win-win-win. The people that want to be winning is the stakeholders. So everybody that's involved in this deal. Now, this could be buyers, sellers, investors, agents, introducers, marketers, sales team, owners, investors, partners, team members, clients, anybody that has anything to do with your business. If you can look at that, look at every single person that has anything to do with your business, including maybe just the first circle of your life as well, the people who are close with you in your life when you're doing deals, is this going to be a win-win-win-win-win for everybody? And that's the game. It's sitting there with your pad or your journal and saying, right, how do I make this a win-win-win-win for everybody? And when you can do that, you'll find that the thing will just absolutely motor, because why would it not? If everybody's turning up to work with you, work on your deal, work in your business, work on your project, work in your scaling plan, if everybody's turned up to do that, and it's a win-win-win for everybody, why would it not? Obviously, it's got to be underwritten by commercial fundamentals, but strategically, the odds are stacked in your favor if everybody is a winner. What we're doing there is looking for that sweet spot, understanding the objectives, finding all those people, and then just like a maths equation, it's very black and white. Literally make a list. Who are the people? What do they want? How can we reward them? How can every single part of this strategy and plan be a win-win-win? And then you're off to the races. And then finally, what we want to do is prepare it. So say, right, prepare what does this look like? How do we make everybody a winner? How does that structure work? What's the model? We then position it. Right, how do we position this so that everybody's a winner? How do we position people's roles? How do we position people's packages? How do we position our prices? Then present it to everybody and make sure it's well communicated. So present it to them. Look, this is a win. We want this to be a win-win-win. We're all in this together. This is our journey. This is our business. This is our venture. We're all going on this journey together. We want everybody to do. If we do well, we want everybody else to do. We want this to be a genuine win-win-win. Present it to them. Get any feedback on board, make any adjustments, and then perfect it. Make sure it's absolutely nailed, and then just progress it. Flip the switch. 1st of April, beginning of the new financial year. Flip the switch. Go all guns blazing, out the traps, and know that every single person is behind this, because if you do well, they do well. And then that is your insurance policy that this thing actually flies. So everyone's a winner. A few top tips. So the first is obviously everyone's a winner. Your mindset, your mantra, your methodology should just be now going into business. Whatever stage you're at, is you want this to be a win-win-win for everyone involved. And your one objective is everyone's a winner. The second is negotiation is just redefining it. I alluded to it earlier, but really sort of starting to redefine this for you and just starting to think about negotiation is not cloak and dagger. Negotiation is not life or death. Negotiation is communication to achieve a shared objective. And if you're going into a negotiation with the mindset of win-win-win, it doesn't matter how you approach it, because in your head, you're thinking, all I need to do is let logic prevail, work up from first principles. I need to understand what you want from me. I need you to understand what I want from you. And then we need to sit down and we need to figure out, how do we find that sweet spot where everyone is a winner? So don't be scared of negotiation. That's, excuse me, don't be afraid of negotiation. Like that, it is what it is, but it's changing that mindset now to push things forward. And then finally is, again, I'm recapping here really because I've covered most of these, but it's playing the long game. Leave money on the table, make concessions, be fair, do good business with good people. And what you'll find is that not only the more you do it, the more lucrative it gets, but also the more you do it, the more experienced you'll get, the more developed your relationships become, the more lucrative your transactions become. And it would just compound up and up and up based purely on your attitude, your approach, and your reputation and your conversion rate, because you're going to be doing a lot more deals than those who are hook, cloak and dagger in and negotiating like they're trying to screw people the whole time. So hopefully that gives you a good insight. And going into the year ahead, I would encourage you to consider everyone's a winner and win, win, win. Lock into that mindset, lock into that mantra, and I can guarantee you over the coming weeks and months, doing deals will get easier. Your relationships will get stronger. Your conversion rate will get a lot higher. The opportunities you get presented to will be a lot more lucrative. And what you'll find is that this skill set, this self-awareness, this translator, negotiator ability will position you a significantly higher than anybody else you're entering deals with. And not only that, when you craft it for yourself, we've done hundreds of deals over the last 20 years. And through COVID, which was like the slowest, or should have been like the slowest year ever, like I said earlier, we did 24 deals worth over £10 million. When you have that skill set and your ability, not only will you do it well for yourself, but also you will attract the attention, like we talked about the 𝗟𝗶𝘀𝘁𝗲 quote, you'll attract the attention of other people who want you to broker their deals. Because without you, if I can make you £10 million, but I'm going to charge you £1 million, for you, that's a no-brainer. For me, that's a no-brainer. I can bring my skill set, my ability, my connections, my network into this deal, get it done for you, and make things happen. If you do have any deals that you want sort of any support on in this capacity, feel free to tag us in on social media, put some pointers in the questions, or tag me into the comments of what support you need, and I'll gladly jump on another podcast and support you with that. Otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Thank you for your ongoing support. We're going to be ramping up the podcast in 2022, and when we talk about everyone being a winner, our plan is to keep the podcast, the content completely free, because on the basis of on the basis of how rapidly it's expanding and the reach is growing and the views and the listens and the downloads are going up every week, more than happy to keep doing it for free. So we think about a win-win-win. Hopefully you're getting value from the hours that I spend preparing these, recording them, the team, putting them together. If you can return the favor by subscribing, sharing, putting in those WhatsApp groups and Facebook communities you want to be the person who has access to the best information. If you think this is a value, share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your network. And I look forward to seeing you on the next official Property Entrepreneur podcast. So everyone's a winner, win, win, win. I wish you all the best for the start of 2022. Cheers.